Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. And again, for the record, I just want to thank Mr. McCall and Mr. Meeks for the courtesy to join you from the House Armed Services Committee to talk about AUKUS, which there's great interest. After the announcement on March 13th out at Naval Base Port Loma, March 13th, when the three heads of government, three navies, stacked hands to make an extraordinary commitment, the government of Australia, really within days, announced a commitment of $386 billion, which was supported by the opposition party to execute AUKUS over the life of the program. I think it's important to note this is a country with 26 million people. That's smaller than the state of Texas and state of California. So obviously they have committed in a big way in terms of making sure that this is a success. Dr. Carlin, the Department of Defense sent over three requests for AUKUS implementation, which are in this committee. The first is a bill to authorize sale of 2 Virginia-class submarines to Australia. The second, to authorize the Australian government to invest $2 billion into the U.S. submarine industrial base. The third is to authorize training to Australian private industry to begin developing its own submarine industrial base. Can you talk for a moment about the need for Congress to reciprocate Australia's extraordinary commitment by moving forward in terms of getting these bills to the President's desk?
Absolutely. First of all, Congressman Courtney, thank you for your tremendous leadership on all things AUKUS. It has been just tremendous, as I noted. So we need to act on these three legislative proposals for Pillar 1, the submarine piece of AUKUS, for several reasons. So first is it's a signal of our commitment to AUKUS, which is critical for generating deterrence across every phase of the optimal pathway. Acting now sends a message to our defense industrial base as well that there will be a persistent flow of business to come, which is a topic, of course, that we've heard a lot about over these last few hours. And really ensuring that that submarine industrial base is able to start taking the steps that it needs with Australia's contribution. Frankly, Australia is going to be making a significant investment in our submarine industrial base, and absent this this legislative proposal, we actually don't have a way to take that money in. And so we know that our submarine industrial base, you know better than just about anyone, has issues that long predate and have nothing to do with AUKUS, which is why the administration has tried to make a historic investment in the submarine industrial base. Australia wants to do so alongside us, and we want to be able to absorb all of that. And you noted, of course, that they have made robust commitments and really shown that they have skin in the game. On that other legislative proposal that you highlight is we need to start training Australians as soon as possible, frankly, because we want them to be able to build the capacity to safely and responsibly be stewards of conventionally armed nuclear-powered submarines. So that's really why that's the case. And then, of course, the ship transfer legislation, we need to just show just how seriously we are taking this. So we have an ally in Australia who has made major commitments in terms of putting its money where its mouth is to demonstrate its seriousness with AUKUS. This is in all of our interests, to be clear, and we want to show that we can take their investment, that we can train them to be responsible, and that we will also be able to deliver on the submarines, all of which I would just underscore helps our submarine industrial base.
Great, thank you. And I'm sure, again, Mr. McCall and all our colleagues in this committee are going to do everything we can to demonstrate on a bipartisan basis just what Australia is doing on its own bipartisan basis. There was a fourth proposal which came over last week on the Defense Production Act, which President Biden and Prime Minister Albanese announced on Saturday at the G7, which is basically to include Australia and the UK within the scope of the Defense Production Act, which will help stimulate all those other technologies that are part of Pillar 2. Again, can you talk about the need to make sure that we move this measure swiftly?
Absolutely. Look, Pillar 2 is the scope, the scale, the complexity of it is really unlike anything that we have ever done, right? This is a generational opportunity. And the announcement that the president made over the weekend really highlighted how this change would accelerate and strengthen AUKUS implementation. It would build new opportunities for U.S. investment in the production and purchase of Australian critical minerals, critical technologies, and other strategic sectors. So while are still looking, of course, at what it would mean for specific AUKUS projects, it underscores a point I made earlier that this is a two-way street, that actually, given the security environment, given the rapidly evolving technological environment, we need to be able to work with one another as much as possible.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chairman. I yield back.